Why hasn't the Electoral College been removed already?
The electoral system is in the Constitution, right? It's not that simple to just remove it. Um, but there are two ways to change the Constitution in our country, and this is a constitutional issue. The first way is by a two-thirds vote of both the House and the Senate to propose a constitutional amendment, which then has to be ratified by three-fourths of state legislatures. The second way is by a constitutional convention called for by two-thirds of state legislatures. So we have already talked a little bit about how polarized our society is. That is a lot of people that you have to get to concur to make a change in the Constitution. And if we're being realistic, power loves to hold on to power. So imagine what it would take in today's society to get that many people with power to agree to take an action that could at some point potentially weaken their power either now or in the future. I mean, for me, it seems almost impossible to imagine a short-term elimination of the Electoral College. That doesn't mean it's not worthwhile work, but it does mean that it's not easy. And yet, I fully believe that some of the hardest things we do are the most important. So, I mean, I think that the Electoral College is absolutely a racist relic of the world as it existed to convince slave states to sign the Constitution, and it continues to only serve to disenfranchise voters. Like you pointed out, Nicole, we've had 5 presidents who did not win the popular vote. So I took a look in preparing for this conversation. I took a look at the National Popular Vote website, and it's interesting to think about it in this way. In 2004, if 59,393 voters in Ohio had changed their minds, only voters in Ohio, President Bush would have lost, despite leading nationally by over 3 million votes. In 2020, if 21,461 voters had changed their mind, Joe Biden wouldn't have taken office, despite leading by over 7 million votes nationally. And each of those 21,460 voters, it would have been 5,229 in Arizona, 5,890 in Georgia, and 10,342 in Wisconsin. So it's really interesting that each of those votes was 29 times more important than the 7 million voters elsewhere. That means every vote is not equal under our current system. And the league really believes in one person, one vote. All of our votes should count equally. So we're working hard on abolishing the Electoral College and passing the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact in the interim. Every person's vote should count the same, whether you live in Georgia, Arizona, California, Maine, Hawaii, or any other state, no matter where you live. One person, one vote, all counting the same. The League of Women Voters of the United States did some research and discovered that if we had a popular vote that took the presidency, candidates would need voters. They would need to campaign in 36 to 39 states to get the votes they would need to win a popular vote. And that's super interesting because now it's just a handful of swing states where they need to capture a few voters to swing the entire election. So if we can't change the Electoral College in short term, what do we do? Because the problem's not going to go away. And do we have decades to wait? We don't have decades to wait. So we're working on the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. It's a more short-term solution to the problem of the Electoral College electing presidents who did not win the popular vote. So under that, the states that have signed on would cast their electoral votes to the candidate who won the national popular vote, not the candidate who won their state, who won the national popular vote. So the compact would become active when enough states have signed on to get to the requisite 270 electoral college votes needed to win the presidency. And all of our votes would count equally, one person, one vote. So as of now, about 17 states have enacted the National Popular Vote Compact, totaling 209 electoral votes. So there's more work to be done to get to the 270 that we need. I just think about how powerful it would be if our candidates had to truly serve and speak to every voter in every state, how much more voice we would have, how much more impact and empowerment we would experience as voters, and how much it might feel more powerful to cast our ballot in some places in the presidential election if we knew that our votes all counted the same. So I agree with you, Nicole, that the Electoral College is a challenging situation, and the league agrees that there is change needed. And that's why it's one of our strategic priorities looking to the future.